Is Apple TV Plus in trouble already? And franchises falling, Terminator and The Shining. This is episode 96 of Media Unplugged, the podcast that goes behind the spin to reveal what's really happening in media.
Media Unplugged with Tom Asacker and Mark Ramsey.
Welcome to Media Unplugged. I'm Mark Ramsey.
And I'm Tom Asacker.
Tom, is Apple TV Plus in trouble already?
Before it even starts,
well, it's out there, so I think it's safe to say it's a little early to judge it, but I don't know. It feels inauspicious to me. I mean, this is from a piece in the Wrap where they talk about they argue that Apple TV Plus can't compete against Netflix and Disney without a library, without Friends, without Seinfeld, without something that people actually want to see that isn't brand new to them. And the idea that, you know, when people think Jennifer Aniston, they don't think the morning show, they think Friends.
Right, exactly.
And, of course, Apple TV has a slate of 8 original series, and they're doubling down for season 2, and some of them already. But they're all original things. They're all from established filmmakers, and they've got established talent. But, you know, they're not part of franchises. None of them is called The Mandalorian, and none of them is called Friends. So it kind of falls into this strange gap. Now, as you know, even though they're charging $4.99 a month for this, if you buy a new piece of Apple hardware, as every Apple fan eventually will within the next probably 24 months, you get it thrown in. So they have this amazing distribution platform that nobody else seems to have.
Right.
And people say, you know, eventually they're going to buy the library. It's just that they haven't bought it yet. I don't know. It seems to me like they're putting the wrong horse before the cart. They're putting the cart before the horse rather than the horse before the cart, no?
Well, point of reference here. Is this thing called Apple TV? Because I noticed there's a plus sign after the... Is it Apple TV Plus? I mean, what is it?
Well, yeah, it's the plus that we're talking about here. This is the subscription part, the plus.
Is that what they call it, though? Apple TV Plus?
Apple TV Plus, where the plus is all this
plus
exclusive
a
content.
couple of things. Okay. That's a hell of a branding thing. So Apple TV plus a few shows. And what I like is they call it the first all-original subscription video service. Now, I don't know about you, but who is the branding genius who came up with this? Who do you know that says, you know what I'd really like is an all-original subscription video service?
Yeah, that's called...
what is that?
You know, making lemonade out of lemons, I believe, is what that's that's called. And I you know, it's a legitimate question because wait, who ever said that's what they wanted? I don't remember that. I mean, even still today, from what I understand, the driving force on Netflix is primarily library content.
Right. Well, yeah, it's choice, right? I mean, but what can Apple do? They don't. Apple TV Plus, pay less, get less? I mean, they can't do that. They don't want to say that either, even though that's the truth. So, yeah, so the question is, and you're absolutely right. So they give away a free year of Apple TV Plus to anyone who buys, and you know a lot of people are going to buy a new iPhone or an iPad for Christmas, right? So maybe, like Amazon Prime, tens of millions of people will sign up and they'll sample the content. But here's the key. So when that free plan expires, how compelled are they going to be to shell out another $60 for another year? And how are they going to rationalize it? See, that's what I want to understand. Because how do you rationalize this? You rationalize it based on some kind of must-see show that interests them.
Well, let's compare that. And by the way, the analysts say, oh, they could get 10 million subscribers within the first year. Did you hear that Disney Plus got 10 million subscribers in their first day?
Yeah, no, I did. Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
Now,
isn't it?
So this illustrates your point, because what is Disney Plus compared to Apple Plus? Disney Plus is, you know, unique content derived from franchises owned by Disney, like The Mandalorian from Lucasfilm, right?
Right.
And all that amazing archive stuff that is Disney content. So you take those two things together and you say, okay, well, they've got this great library, and not only that, but they have this other thing that the other guys don't necessarily have, and that's this thing called family. the family orientation
Right,
of Disney
exactly.
content makes it much more essential for people who are looking for things to entertain
have a
their
family.
kids, who have a family. That's right. And a lot of people, it turns out, I've discovered this fact, Tom.
They have a
lot
family,
of people, a lot of people have a family. So rather than saying, okay, here's our choice, we can get the stuff with, the amazing brand extensions of the IP that fascinates us at the movie theaters, plus all the family content that we've grown accustomed to over the years and all the IP extensions of that, or we could get the world's only
I know.
original stream of 8 shows.
Yeah, Disney seems to know what they're doing from a brand standpoint and understanding the audience and the audience desires and having exactly what people want. And they seem to get it. Apple seems to be trying to figure this out. And I think they're using this time period where tens of millions of people maybe sign up to sample. They're using this to figure out, what do we do now?
Right.
What is the big thing that we're going to release where people, The Handmaid's Tale, the Stranger Things, what is it that we can develop in the next 12 months to keep them and then have them talk to a bunch of other people and bring them in?
But again, even in that example, Handmaid's Tale, what was the other one?
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things. Okay, both of which appeared on platforms that had a rich library, a rich library.
That's true.
They didn't appear on the brand new platform with nothing else. Even in the case of, and I don't know how successful CBS's over-the-top thing is, but CBS All Access. But even in the case of that, for Twilight Zone, that was appearing on a platform that had all the CBS content on it. And oh, by the way, it was also the only place to find Twilight Zone, at least for now.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. I'll tell you why. Because I'm a Twilight Zone fan. I did not sign up to CBS All Access to get that. Because I've already got Netflix. I've got Amazon Prime. I've got, so it was like, nah.
Well, in your case, and not only that, but you've got CBS.
Yeah, exactly.
So in your case, you would be signing up for it only for one show. So your monthly fee, like right now, I'm paying a monthly fee for Twilight Zone, and there haven't been new Twilight Zones in months.
This is what I mean, yeah.
So I'm literally, it's like, well, why not just cancel it and come back? If it's really about one show, quite frankly, why not wait for the DVDs if that's what it's about?
No, that's a good point.
And doesn't a part of you think, every single one of these shows on Apple, on all these platforms, will be available at some point on DVD if for anybody who wants to use that old-fashioned technology and really desperately wants to see these shows. You can go out there, you can buy the DVDs. They'll probably be priced down by that point. So the content eventually will be available.
And the thing is, Mark, if you don't want DVDs, right, because a lot of people say, I don't want DVDs. I don't even have a DVD player. It doesn't matter. Once they go to DVD, Amazon buys the rights to sell you the streaming anyway on Amazon. So you can just go to Amazon and buy it and watch an episode or 2 or 3 and see if you like it and then buy the rest of them.
That's right, if that's what you wanted. But I can't help but thinking that, for a platform like Apple, there's an awful lot of talent wrapped up in making an awful lot of television, Tom, that almost nobody's going to see.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine who bought a new iPad, and he watched a few episodes of For All Mankind because he's like he likes the space race thing, and I think that's what it is. It's a space drama. Imagining what would happen if the global space race had never ended. And I said to him, so what do you think? Should I get this thing? He said, listen.
Wait. Is this Apple Plus you're talking about?
Yeah. I said, so should I get Apple Plus? How was that For All Mankind, right? And he said, look, the production value, you can tell, is really high. But he wasn't willing to recommend, like, the show to me, not based on the actual storytelling and the dramatic quality and all that.
That's like asking someone, so you're a listener of Media Unplugged. What do you think about the podcast? Your voices sound so crisp.
Yeah, exactly. You guys have got that technology shit down.
You're listening.
Mark.
Yeah.
Joyce, think about what's going on here. And I think sometimes people forget it, right? So you look and you've got, and this is the choice dilemma that people are going to run into. Hulu, with no ads is like $13. Netflix is $12 a month. HBO Max is, I don't know, around 15, they're saying. Disney Plus is $7. Amazon Prime is $9 a month. CBS All Access is what, $6 a month you're paying? $6? Showtime's are like $11. Stars is like, you're talking $100 a month in all these streaming services.
Right.
So when it comes time, people are going to look and they're not just going to say, it's just $60. They're going to say, wait a minute, I'm up to $100 a month. I don't think I need another one. Not
only that, but that's not the Jennifer Aniston show I grew up loving.
No, exactly. And how much can you consume? This is the other issue. If you've got Hulu, Netflix, HBO, Prime, CBS, Apple, show, what are you going to watch? It's not like there's a lack of content. There's no lack of content.
Yeah, it's and even now, is I'm sure everyone has the experience of looking at their screen and saying, "Okay, I want to settle in for Castle Rock on." Let's see, what is it on? is it on? Yeah. Wait a minute, is that one Netflix? And that one, the process of finding things that you're looking for. Because if you have more than a handful of things, you forget which one it's on. Exactly. Which is yet another advantage Disney. Because if you say, well, it's Mandalorian, it's Star Wars. Star Wars is going to be available through Disney. I mean, it's like an instant mnemonic,
right?
That these other fly-by-night one-off shows don't have. All right, you're listening.
Findability.
Findability is key. You're listening to Media Unplugged with Mark Ramsey and Tom Asacker. Franchises falling, Tom. We have the example of the Terminator Dark Fate movie, which misfired at the box office and is likely to lose money now, which is amazing when you think that it returns the talents of Jim Cameron, the talents of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the talents of Linda, what's her name?
I don't know, Hamilton.
Linda Hamilton, that's right, of course. How could I forget her name? Well, maybe that's part of the problem.
Exactly.
Because, under a certain age, people say, Linda Hamilton? What is a Linda Hamilton?
Oh, it could be our age that's making us forget the name Hamilton. Who knows?
It could be, but I think it's more likely that younger people never heard it in the first place. So, I mean, it has been a long time since the, kind of the high watermark of those films. And Dr. Sleep is the other one, which is based on a more relatively recent Stephen King book, but is, essentially positioned as the sequel to Stephen King's sequel to The Shining. Thus, the movie is the cinematic sequel to The Shining. And it's another disappointment at the box office. And, my favorite part, this is a rant mixed in with content. The thing I love most about these trades is whenever there's a disappointment at the box office, there's always this unavoidable article that says 5 reasons why the movie that we thought was going to be a hit 2 days ago is a failure at the box office.
I got to tell you, I was waiting for you to announce what the title of this segment was, that you came up with, because I was sure you were going to do something like The Dark Fate of Movie Theaters or Cinema Sleep, because the media they're painting this gloomy picture of, honestly, of that venue as a profit-producing business model. Really, if you look at these films, without all of this streaming, they probably wouldn't have failed, right?
Without all the you mean if adults didn't have so many options,
right? They probably would have done okay. There's nothing to watch at home. Let's go see the new Terminator film.
Yeah, well, my wife and I went through this exercise because we thought, gosh, we like The Shining. Should we see Dr. Sleep? We like, Ewan McGregor. But I said to her, it's almost 3 hours long.
Yeah, exactly.
And I said, if we're going to share a day together, I don't really want to spend 3 hours of it in a movie theater.
Well, and damn well that's why Scorsese went to Netflix with The Irishman. 3.5 hours. Right.
Well, that, and no one else is going to give him $100 and however many $1 million to make a movie.
Exactly. Yeah, 100.
Which I think is probably the larger reason. But I hear your point. Look, at this point, what's happening in the movie theaters is primarily event films, primarily superhero franchises, primarily things that work in foreign countries, that don't depend on subtle understandings of, cerebral horror installments or memories of films that were big in the movie theater before most of these countries had movie theaters. So that's what's going to play nowadays in the movie theaters. But no, my take on this was that this is really more this kind of franchise fatigue. And by the way, aren't you glad there's some franchise fatigue here and there?
Oh,
because
no.
Do you really want, Zoolander 3?
No, but Mark, look, this is what I'm trying to tell you. Look, I believe this. So unless you've got a big effects-driven blockbuster and it taps into the zeitgeist, right?
Right.
Nothing's going to happen. So it's what you send to these theaters has to be looked at as an event, either something new that's getting a lot of cultural buzz and is therefore a must-see, right? Like The Joker or even Black Panther, right? Mm-hmm. So it's hitting the cultural buzz. Or it's something a lot of like-minded people are already aware of, and they want to go see it to make a night out of it, a family night, a girls' night. I don't know. Star Wars, Downton Abbey. Or remember, you never even gave me credit for this. Remember I predicted Bohemian Rhapsody was going to be big?
Well, I never gave you credit for that.
I know you didn't. That's why I gave myself credit just now. But see,
much bigger than the Elton John movie, by the way.
I know.
And I didn't. I got to say, I saw Bohemian on DVD at awards time. I haven't seen the Elton John one yet. And having seen the Bohemian Rhapsody thing, I thought, I cannot believe this movie is as big as it is. Because it just, the 20 minutes of Live Aid recreation alone should knock it out, because that's pure diversion from storytelling right there and into sheer mimicry.
Oh,
that's just me talking.
Goodness. That's just you talking. You're the horror guy. But listen, the Terminator doesn't sound, number one, does not sound new.
Right.
In what part of the
Tom, not only does it not sound new, judging from plot points in the movie, they almost literally recycled a bunch of elements from various previous Terminator movies, including ones that featured Arnold Schwarzenegger and Linda Hamilton together.
So it's not new. Nothing's new.
It's almost literally not new. No.
See, that's the
make
problem.
Your second point about zeitgeist.
It didn't tap into it.
No.
What in that movie is hot, controversial, inspiring? Nothing. What the Terminator, Arnold should have got, they should have had something where he got, attacked by the Me Too movement or something. So they had to do something that tapped into what's going on and weaved it in there. Listen, so if they wanted to make any money of this, they spent, $185 million to make this movie.
That's right.
I would have sold that to Apple as an original TV series, busted it up into 10 episodes. They would have given them the 100. You know what I mean?
Actually, it's been a TV series. It was Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Right.
Which is not the same, of course. We don't have the same. It doesn't have the same. But your point is, if you take something like Terminator and carve it up into even, let's say, carve it up into 30-minute increments and spread it out across, 6 installments or something that's manageable for what's probably, I don't know what the running time is, but it's probably 3 hours.
Right.
Because everything wants to be 3 hours. Then that is an interesting, ditto for Dr. Sleep, quite frankly.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Go to these people that need the content to make their platforms viable and sell it. But I'm going to tell you, I think I know why they didn't do it. Cameron didn't own the rights to the Terminator. Remember, he sold the rights, the IP, for $1 back in the 80s. As long as he could direct the future ones, he sold the rights.
Mm-hmm.
So he had to do a deal with Skydance Media and some other partners, Paramount, Disney. They each kicked in 30%. And they couldn't probably do the deal the way they should have done it. And they wanted to rush this thing out because I think Cameron gets the rights back to the Terminator this year. Sometime this year, he gets it all back. So this ought to be interesting.
I can only hope he'll let it take a little nap for a while and let Arnold take a little nap.
Well,
so how would you fix Dr. Sleep? Talk to me about Dr. Sleep then. What would you do?
It's the same thing, right?
To make that a success?
This was a sequel to a book that was written in 1970 something?
No. I mean, the Dr. Sleep sequel was written only a few years ago.
Right, but the original was what, in the 70s? Who remembers that?
Well, the movie was 1980, I think. So
Okay.
yeah.
That's
Well,
what
I mean, the point about The Shining. Look, first of all, I am a huge Mike Flanagan fan, the guy who did Haunting of Hill House on Netflix, which is fabulous, and he's the guy behind Dr. Sleep here. So I'm a huge, but Flanagan is kind of a cerebral horror guy, and cerebral horror plays much better on where, Tom?
Well,
television.
You know where exactly.
On television than it does on the big screen. And The Shining is a perfect example. First of all, there's nothing Kubrick ever made which isn't, slow moving like an iceberg.
Right.
And Shining is certainly in that category. You can call it slow boil if you want, but it's very slow boil. It was a disappointment when it appeared, and it's only grown in stature over the years. And and nobody who puts a movie in the Cineplex wants something that grows in stature over the years and fails on opening weekend.
You're right. Listen, I would have gone directly. I would have went to Amazon. I'm looking for it starts in a couple of days, the 3rd season of Man in the High Castle. You want to talk about cerebral, trying to figure out what the hell's going on in this thing?
Is it takes 3rd or is it 4th?
Well, maybe it's the 4th. I think you're right. But you have to pay attention.
Yeah, you got to pay attention.
Right?
Because you're traveling in time.
Yeah, exactly. Back and forth in different, universes or something. So
I'd like to travel back in time before there was an Apple TV Plus, if that's possible.
I want to go back to when we started this first episode.
The first episode of this show?
Absolutely, because we have all these fans now, and I don't want to let them down. So I have to.
Well, we got to let them down. So here's my fix for Dr. Sleep. First of all, Ewan McGregor, no. Come on.
Well, that's what I mean.
Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi on Disney Plus? Yes.
Exactly.
Ewan McGregor in a horror movie in the movie theaters? Absolutely not.
Right.
That's number one. He's way too old and way too not box office. Secondly, going out of your way to present it as a sequel to The Shining.
No.
No.
How many people are sitting around going, hey, damn, I wish that episode of The Shining was
Yeah,
what?
Is there any chance that Jack Nicholson survived the topiary? Is there any chance at all? That would actually be funny if all of a sudden it opened and there's Nicholson in the topiary and he's like 40 years older, and all of a sudden, even though he's frozen, he just kind of jump starts alive.
It might have been better as
Wouldn't
like a
great?
parody comedy type of horror thing. That would have been funny as hell. Everyone would have went and seen that one.
And then he comes alive. He's in the topiary. He's, this frosty guy 40 years later and 40 years older. And now he's in search of his son. Now you've got a movie.
Exactly right. See, that's something people talk about. See,
that's something people would want to see.
That's right.
All right. So, Tom, it's time for Rants and Raves. What do you have this week?
You want me to go first?
Please.
Please.
You know what? Maybe I should go first because mine is much less distinguished than yours is going to be, I think.
Oh, okay. I'm always distinguished.
I all over the news over the past couple of weeks is new logo for Facebook. And I'm thinking...
That's news. Yeah,
I say, why are we really so devoid of news that new logo for Facebook is what everybody wants to talk about? New logo is Facebook changing? No. Is Facebook buying or selling something? No. Is Facebook going to keep, fake political news off their feeds? No. Is Facebook going to do anything to keep Facebook addicts from using Facebook? No. Is Facebook going to make my life better as a human being? Absolutely not. Quite the contrary. So what is the news about Facebook? Well, they've decided that instead of this dumb logo, they're going to have this dumb logo because it's going to signify all the other things that Facebook... You know what? Coke owns a lot of things, Tom, as you well know.
I know, I heard it. It's designed for clarity, I think I heard somebody say.
Designed for clarity, because that stupid blue logo was somehow fuzzy.
Exactly.
So now it's going to be clear. And I thought, Coke owns a million things, right?
Oh, yeah.
P&G owns a million. When was the last time your friends at P&G said, you know what?
I know that G needs a little bit of more of a curve in it to really
now
appear.
that we own Dial, we've got to update the logo, you know? By the way, I don't even know if they own Dial. So my apologies to P&G if they don't own Dial. So that could be Colgate Palmolive, which is a whole other story, right? So I don't understand, Tom, why we're so fascinated with something as stupid as Facebook's logo. Can you explain that to me?
No.
We got to change the Media Unplugged logo. Here's what I'm going to do. We're going to change the Media Unplugged logo, and we're going to put out a news release because I want to see it on the front page of Mashable. Media Unplugged new logo. Everyone, this affects your life. ... How? That would be the headline.
Look, I can tell you, I don't know what's going on with that, but I can tell you that every news item, anything that you see that has this huge exposure, behind it is something, some intent somewhere. Because every morning when I get up, the news is blasting into my ears weather. I mean, and it's like, okay, it's cold in Boston today, but that's not what they're brought. It's like, it's bitter cold. It's dangerously cold. There's snow here. And it's just blowing my mind. It's like, so this Facebook logo thing, somebody is benefiting from all this noise because it's probably making people think, have you done your logo lately? Have you redone it? You should really do it.
Oh, is that what it is?
Oh, of course. Look, that's what it's about.
Well, you know, Disney put a plus on the end of theirs.
That's what I said. I told you.
I think what they did was they went to the Disney font and they said, let's find the key on the keyboard that makes a plus. There it is. Logo done. Geniuses.
Oh, boy, you're going to piss off all the logo design
Oh,
people.
my goodness. What do you have this week, Tom?
Well, mine's not quite as bad, but it is close. It's close. It isn't even a rant or rave, but it's kind of a sign of our times or the times to come. So last week, Starbucks, I think they gave us a glimpse of their future or the future. You know Starbucks. I mean, think about the brand.
I've heard of them.
Think about the brand, though. You know the books, all the books that have been written about the brand?
Sure.
The third place. They called it the third place in our lives.
Right.
Because there was home, work, and Starbucks. Right. Starbucks. Comfy chairs, great smells, community, Wi-Fi. It's the coffee chain where people are willing to pay more because of what? Cachet, connections, everything that comes with the coffee. Last week, Mark, they opened their first ever Starbucks pickup only store. Pickup. It's a location that lets customers order ahead through the mobile app, go in, pick up their orders in the store. Now, I want you to picture this. It's a store. It's about the size of a large bedroom. There's no seating. There's just this small condiments island and a digital board which displays your name on it, your order. It looks like a small version of a display from the flight information at the airport. Okay? So picture this. Now, here's what this guy, Rox Brewer, who's Starbucks America's group president and COO, this is what he said about Starbucks customers. Listen to this. Their third place is everywhere they're holding our cup. No matter their journey, after leaving our stores, that feeling of comfort stays with them. In an increasingly busy and on-demand world, it's that feeling that keeps the third place growing. So
that is like you would have to struggle to copy that crappy.
That's a Seinfeld episode because listen, what he's saying is a place is not a place anymore.
A place.
It's a feeling.
Right.
A place is a feeling. It's the cup that makes everyone feel comfortable and willing to shell out $4 for Starbucks. So I want everyone to remember, when you're all walking into your toxic work environment next month, holding your red holiday Starbucks cup, you have just entered your third place.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that brings to mind another rant.
Go for it.
Because, you know, it's such a joy to see the holiday cups at Starbucks. It occurred to me that, you know, when I go to the Lifetime channel, as I often do, Tom, I'm going there to find women in danger. That's what I'm there for. Sometimes young women, sometimes older women, always women in danger. So imagine my surprise when I check in, I think, October, and it's wall-to-wall Christmas movies. And my first thought is, where are my women in danger? That's my first thought. My second thought is,
being ruined.
my second thought is, how is it possible to create hundreds of Christmas movies that are all essentially the same yet different? How is that possible? I mean, how it's almost like you have a box full of puzzle pieces and you dump them out onto a table and you just you put them together in different orders.
Mark,
Yes.
That's why Jingle All the Way with Arnold is my favorite Christmas movie.
Why is that?
Because it's nothing like anything you've ever seen.
It's not the kind of thing you're going to find on the Lifetime channel.
No, not at all.
And one final rant, since you're reminding me of holiday shopping. We were in the mall the other day, and there was this pop-up store, I guess it's called, a store that's only open for the season. And it was called Tipsy Elves.
Oh
And it's primarily an online-only place that has kind of cheeky, shirts and wardrobe. I mean, I put on a Santa
sweaters.
blazer.
Yeah.
It's full of ugly sweaters, but ugly sweaters that aren't accidentally ugly, which is what our grandparents had. These are intentionally ugly, which is, for younger people to have. So the thing about this store is we go to pay, and my wife likes to pay with cash. And they say, oh, no, we're cashless. And I thought, and the justification, a couple of things. The justification was golden. It was no, because we're primarily an online store, we're cashless. And I thought, well, I'm standing in front of you at the counter. You're not an online store right now. And then the other funny part about that was one of the employees was like, we said, did you give us around the store it's 20 signs that say 15% off. And did you give us the 15% off? Oh, no, I thought that was over yesterday. I said, dude, it's your store. I'm looking around. I stand here. There's 15% off signs all over.
Unbelievable.
So then the funniest part is then we went to lunch. We went to a restaurant down the way where you got to stand in a long line. It was Tender Greens. Let me just drop the brand names.
Okay.
So you order up front, and then you stand in line, and you watch all these people make yours and other people's food for approximately, Tom, 40 minutes in line.
Oh, my goodness.
You get but the funny thing is, it's cashless. So there, too, you can't use cash. You have to. So these are 2 stores out of the 3 we went into that are cashless.
You know why?
Here's why.
Mark, they're trying to get your information, email and credit card, so somehow they can hook you. That's what Apple Plus TV Plus is trying to do. We've talked about this.
Let me finish the story then.
Okay.
So then 2 days later, my wife gets a call from her credit card company.
Here we go.
Someone tried to use her card or number at some gas station, on the other side of California.
Oh.
And I said, very interesting. Not 48 hours after you're at in the world of the cashless, someone tries to, sneak your number. Isn't that interesting? I think we can draw a connection there.
Oh, unbelievable.
That is Media Unplugged. This is like a supersized episode of Media Unplugged, Tom. We've been
Well, we can cut out my rant if you want.
No, I'm not going to do that. That's way too much work. That's Media Unplugged for this week. Please remember to subscribe to us at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, or wherever you're listening right now, which could be almost everywhere. You can follow Tom on Twitter at Tom Asacker and Mark at Mark Ramsey Media. Send us your questions and comments using hashtag Media Unplugged. Sometimes I even look for that. If there's a media topic you want us to cover, tweet us. You can also email us at mramsey@markramseymedia.com and tomasacker@gmail.com. Catch up on older, as I like to call them, vintage episodes, which Apple Plus really should buy, by the way. At our website, MediaUnplugged.net. Special thanks to the producer of Media Unplugged, a guy who has no time to do this, Jeff Schmidt, exciting audio for media. You can find him at jeff-schmidt.com. For Tom Asacker, I'm Mark Ramsey. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.